Now let's go to frame materials. We have quite a variety of materials nowadays, but I just want to briefly mention that some of the old materials we had were made out of bakelite, galalith, and xylenite, or cellulose nitrate. But these types of materials did have some problems because they became brittle or were flammable, which was the case with cellulose nitrate. So the old Xyle frames, which some people still call the plastic frames by Xyle, was actually discontinued, and no longer are we able to have Xyle because of the flammability issue. But nowadays we do have different types of plastic or metal, and so we're going to talk about those. First off, let's talk about plastic. The most common used plastic today is cellulose acetate, which can be made out of wood or cotton and is processed and is occasionally causes allergic reactions and can become brittle, but it's very commonly used in the frame industry today. Another type of plastic that's used is propionate. Propionate is similar to cellulose acetate, but it weighs less, and it's a little bit easier to inject and mold through injection, where cellulose acetate has to be manufactured by cutting it and by working with a plastic, not within a mold. Another type is opteal. This is an interesting type of epoxy resin that can be heated and bent and then cooled to form a shape, but then when it's reheated, it assumes its original shape. So this kind of is as like a memory type of plastic, you could say. And then we have some nylon-based materials like nylon polyamide, acrylamide, which have like polyamide is hypoallergenic, and acrylamide used in sportswear. Some other non-metal materials, carbon fiber is not too commonly sold today, but its strength is that it's lightweight and it has some limitations too because it's just not have many color possibilities. And then polycarbonate, which we have with lenses, but usually polycarbonate's used in sports eyewear because it's very flexible and they make them in just a single unit because you can't really bend a polycarbonate that easily to make an adjustments. So another two types are the Kevlar, which is mixed with nylon and rubber. So now let's look at some of the metals. A common metal is nickel, which does not corrode, but many people are allergic to nickel. As many as 10% of the population are allergic. So it does have that problem, but we also have some combination or alloys of nickel, such as nickel silver, which has 50% copper and 25% nickel, and some zinc, and monal metal, which is nickel, copper, iron, and some other elements. Then we have memory metal, which you see today in between like the bridge, and that's made of nickel and titanium, which makes it very flexible. We see this in kids' frames, so that if kids were to bend it, it would bend right back. So, and then lastly, we have aluminum, which is very light and doesn't corrode, but it's very difficult to solder. Some other metals include stainless steel, which is hypoallergenic, titanium, which is very common today, but a little more expensive because of the difficulty of the process of manufacturing it. And we also have magnesium, bronze, and some other materials that are combined together to form an alloy. So the only thing we should consider with patients is they do have allergies to some types of metals or plastics. But mostly today, we do have the frames coated to prevent from the patients having an allergic reaction. But if you do know that they have problems with allergies, it's best to use a type of material that is hypoallergenic, such as uptil, titanium, or stainless steel. Sometimes also with the nose piece, it might be best to use certain types of nose pads if there's an allergy, such as a crystal nose pad, a gold-plated or titanium nose pad, although these aren't that common. So another thing to note is that there's a liquid lens liner that is on the market that is made of latex. So beware of using this liner if the lens seems to be too small. It helps to provide a cushion space between the eye wire, but if the patient's allergic to it, it may be best to steer clear of that. So some of the companies involved in the manufacture of frames, pretty much the list is extensive and goes beyond what I have written here. But of course, we have Luxottica here, which has a whole bunch of brands uh, within it, and Marchon, Ralph Lauren, Flexon, and Adidas, just to name a few. So this concludes part 3 of chapter 1. Thank you very much.